So last time on an episode, we talked about different suspension brands, and you guys kept asking us about Fortunato, so we figured we would probably talk about it. Right, so anyway, we actually got a chance to sit down with the founder of Fortunato and really figure out what Fortunato is about and what they really do and like how they got started. By the way, I'm Alex from Fitment Industries. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell button, and let's get right into it. So Terry Awad remembers being into cars at a very young age, even though neither of his parents necessarily had any love for them. He ended up moving to Miami in the 80s, which was a long time before a lot of you people were born, and was surrounded by like countless high-end cars like Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and Porsches. When Terry was just a wee boy, he decided that he wanted to jump into one of the best cars known to man. Not one that we've touted before in the past, but nevertheless, the one, the only, Mazda Miata. He ended up owning around 5 or 6 of those, but what it really came down to was his true love for cars was JDM. I mean, he owned a Nissan R33, a few Silvias, even a Toyota Soarer. As time went on, he started to get more into motorsport versus just, showing up to car shows, and he ended up tracking his car at pretty much any given opportunity. Eventually, he had been in like the automotive community enough that he decided he wanted to make his own coilovers for his cars. So with the help of his friends, Tony and Arthur and Matt, Fortunato was born, conceived, if you will, brought to life, some might say. Initiated into the world of the automotive performance division, some might recall. Tony actually worked for a NASCAR team as a suspension engineer, and by a hop, skip of luck, him and Terry met by chance and ended up hitting it off until eventually he jumped onto the Fortunato team pretty much early on. He played a big part in turning the brand from just like a private labeling company into an engineering and manufacturing company way back in the day there. He also helped redesign components using top-tier racing stuff, aka technology. Since that was his background, he was able to lend his knowledge to the team of Fortunato so they could actually start making not just coilovers, but good ones. Arthur was one of the lead suspension techs, his childhood's best friend. He ended up being a hobby machinist, but was also a huge fan of motorsports, which was pretty fitting. He pushed Fortunato towards machining parts for development and prototyping in-house. And this eventually led to them acquiring fabrication and machining equipment to build their very own prototyping center and machine shop in-house. Boom, in their own casa. They pride themselves on the fact that they've always been a niche. Which, by the way, let's get on the terminology of niche and niche, since that seems to be a thing that people keep saying. There are going to be words that I just don't know how to pronounce, okay? It's a thing. My father spoke Spanglish. He didn't even know English when he was teaching me English. So some of the words may or may not be correct or incorrect. You may have to get over the fact that there's a couple things that I say wrong, like too gay or niche, okay? Or like, I don't know, aluminium. There's a couple words that are a little bit different than most people's vocabulary. I'm sorry the internet does not like my pronunciation on Olins, okay? If it's supposed to be Eulins, that's great, but nobody's gonna say Eulins, they're gonna say Olins. That's just how it works. Back to the video. So anyway, besides the fact that they kind of pride themselves on being owned and operated by enthusiasts for enthusiasts, it's pretty much resulted in them being involved in the car community for about 15 years now. Now, one of the biggest things about Fortunato that makes them a little bit different is the fact that they're not like massively huge. They don't have a ton of platforms that they sell their coilovers for. In fact, they're very specific as to which coils they make for different cars. The whole point is that they put R&D and like the quality and stuff that they know into the things that actually matter. And for them, since there's only around 17 employees, they really actually just care about making sure the products that they do send out work. Ford, you could learn a thing or two. They care more about getting top of the line products and the newest technology for an affordable price versus rolling around and bathing in a big stack of money. Which is actually kind of funny because Terry has 2 sets of E88s and I know how much those bad boys cost and I want a pair. So Terry, if you'd like to sell a pair, let us know. We appreciate you. They're also known to using the track to their advantage for the information they end up using to gather to make their products. And that's one of the big things that actually started off Fortunato in a way that it did, because they would go out and they test their products because they didn't have like a 7-post dynamic thing like the cool kids over in Germany have. They had time attack cars. That's it. And then they would race them and they'd be like, wow, that was really incredible. Or they'd be like, wow, that was really And that's how they got the product better and better. I mean, that was pretty much the whole point. And they started to constantly evolve the suspension system, which is where they're at now with their Generation 7 coilover. But Fortunato's always been around the grassroots stuff. They've never really been big into like the big boy stuff. That stuff. This is the stuff they're not usually all about. This stuff they're about, you know? They're pretty much in different forms of motorsport, but not really in like all of it. They're in specific chassis specialists and engineers that are working to pretty much build these partnerships, and then they help set up the cars and gather data while they're actually running on the track. I mean, there have been points where the actual suspension engineers have gone to the track to dial in the suspension components for the teams that are running their coilovers because they want to do it themselves so that they can learn how to actually dial it in a little bit better. Then they give the information back to the racing team. They're like a portable pit stop, if you will. And another thing that Fortunato really isn't about is big slammy stuff. A lot of their stuff always focuses on the actual function of the coilover, and that's why you actually see that they don't have a whole lot of super slam kits and things like that, even though they can make it. And that's pretty much what makes Fortunato's designs so different, is that they're completely modular. They're on their 7th generation now, but you can go into a Fortunato coilover in their initial 500 series and actually build upon that over a longer and longer period of time. So if you want something more aggressive, or if you want something you can fine tune more, you can actually start off with like a base model and like upgrade it with like DLC packages, except they're not like EA. They're actually like pretty halfway good. And that's what makes Fortunato so interesting, is that they are able to do that. It's like a Lego block that you can build over time. One of the things that doesn't really make sense is the fact that they're supposed to last a long time. Everybody out there, they're going on the gram in the springtime and they're like, I'm gonna get wheels, I'm gonna get tires, I'm gonna get suspension, I'm gonna get it at fitmentindustries.com, and then I'm gonna get window tint, a wrap, a big wing, I'm gonna get internals, I'm gonna go forged, I'm gonna get an exhaust, intake, obviously, headlights, tail lights. You need everything that you could possibly imagine. You need the racing, you know, harness brackets. You need the seats. You need the steering wheel. You need what's the thing that makes the noise? The speakers. You're gonna need the radio. You're gonna need all that, and you wanna do it all in one season, and then you're like, I'm broke, I got a baller car, and now I'm done. What makes Fortunato really cool is that you can build them modularly so that you can have the actual coilover for a super long period of time and not have to worry about it breaking or it not fitting your needs anymore. And that's why it's kind of more focused on the performance stuff. I mean, they really do other things as well, but that's what they focus on. They're a US-based company that inspects, services, and assembles everything here in the good old America. But really what it comes down to is that they just want to make stuff that you actually enjoy and will use. I mean, Matt is the lead suspension tech that we just mentioned, is also leading the prototyping department for new stuff. He oversees all the vehicles during the motorsport stuff. He oversees all of that, and he does it to like make stuff better. Not just, you know, sell a million sets of coilovers and pray that you never call them back because they just have customer service or something like that. There's a couple companies out there. You know who you are. Fortunato's been around long enough for like the tapes that were in the one show that ended up resulting in everybody just realizing that they were huge, and they should have just been nice to the person in the beginning. But it doesn't really help that she was also kind of, you know, like she wasn't the best in terms of like friendships. And so for it to be all of their friends' fault really doesn't make much sense. I mean, when you really look into the writing of it, it's kind of both people's faults. And I just don't think that it's an actual viable script writing capability to say that it was all of those friends' faults, because like most of them actually seem pretty nice. But Fortunato's been around for about 13 years, and as a result, they've pretty much just gotten into everything that they could as long as it made sense for a company that was like homegrown. And that's pretty much all that they're about. I mean, Terry loves his job, the people that are on the team love their job, and they make cool shit. What else would you possibly want to know about Fortunato? So if you guys are interested in checking out some Fortunato, you can check it out at fitmentindustries.com. Let us know in the comment section below what you want us to talk about next, or don't talk about next. That'd be really mean though, so don't do that. I'm Alex from Fitment Industries, wheels, tires, suspension, fitmentindustries.com. I want to say Fitment Industries again, and if you can say Fitment Industries with me in the comment section as many times as humanly possible, we will heart your comment. Or if you just want to say that, I don't know, nice compliment, maybe like, my hair looks good, beard's coming in well. You could possibly mention that we're not sponsored by Squarespace, which is not a 60-second sales plug, which I think is still a pretty good benefit to watching our stuff. And we have a new wheel wall because we got kicked out of the other building. So let that just sink in. I'm Alex. Goodbye.